Alright, welcome back. So as you can see behind me, I've got my brand new Hobie Outback 2019 model kayak, and this video will be a walk through that kayak, see some of the new features, and the next video will be an install using the retractable transducer mount for side imaging. So stay tuned.
Ladies and gentlemen,
here comes the music.
Alright, so we'll start the bow and work our way back. So first thing you'll notice here is the steeper hull and a little bit sharper, or steeper bow I should say, and a little bit sharper hull, forward hull profile. This was kind of designed or copied from the Compass. The idea being it's going to be a little bit quieter and you get less hull slap on the bow area. Likewise, it should make this boat a little bit faster than the previous generation Outback. Change from the previous generation, the front hatch is smaller, and as of delivery, which was yesterday, there's no hatch liner available yet. So once that bucket's available, I'll definitely be adding that. Got our standard mast port right here. I'll probably end up putting a ram ball there for a camera mount or for something else. As we move our way back, alright, we got the retraction handle for the scupper mount, or for the transducer mount, I mean. Forward rod holder. These are really handy and kind of unique to the Outback as far as Hobie goes. Over here we got our retraction cable for the rudder, and big thing you'll notice, if you're familiar with the older Outbacks or the older Revolution kayaks, this is actually using one of the running cleats like the Pro Angler does. So this is just, instead of having to lock the handle into another little cleat, this is literally just to pull, retract it, pull it in there, and it self-locks. It locks itself. And the rudder on this one's spring-loaded, so it's not a stow and go like the older generations. All right, we got our cassette plug right here. Take that out, and this is the Mirage 180 drive. I don't quite have enough clearance for it here. But this is the new generation. The pedal length adjusters are here instead of being the squeeze handles down here, and it's just a pull and go for forward and reverse. So I've got some experience with one of these, but I haven't actually owned one before, so looking forward to that. All right, continuing to work our way back. One of the really cool things about this new kayak is the side stowage section. So the center section here is exactly perfectly sized for a 3700 box, and there are tie downs for it. Basically pull that little piece out and it goes into there like a button. So you can put an angled tie down across a 3700 box or 3600 box to hold it here. In addition, again new for the 2019, we've got this piece of gear track type top loading gear track out along the outside here, and then there's a section of H-rail adopted from the Pro Angler. What's unique about this section of H-rail, though, is it also has a T-channel built into it for any of your track-mounted accessories. Plier holders, got a spot here for a knife, front and rear. Got the same thing over on the other side. And then inside this, we got a little pouch just for tucking stuff away. Right here, we've got the Hobie through hull wiring setup. And this is the newer generation that uses 3 screws instead of having the threaded piece on the back, like my old Pro Angler. Got a molded-in cup holder, big one over here, one with a smaller a smaller base to it over there. All right, center section, we got a redesigned square hatch, a little gear pouch here, or a little pouch here, perfect for like your wallet or your keys, a bottle opener if you're so inclined to indulge in a bottled beverage on the kayak. I don't, but you know, to each his own. And then it comes with the gear bucket in here. There is a provision, if you look right here, there's a provision for them to later add a tackle organizer that's going to, pivoting tackle organizer like the Pro Angler has. But the Pro Angler tackle organizer will not fit in here because it runs transverse, and there's no mounting points fore and aft here. But I'll stick with the gear bucket for now. It's just a great spot to drop stuff. Alright, on either side we got our standing pads, and these are nice thick pads. Should be fairly comfortable, and it's just a nice flat area compared to the older Outback that had kind of a humped section here. All right, moving farther back, we got the an updated Vantage seat. The big change between this and the previous generations is the back section is the same width, but the base is wider. So they added this spacer here into the base to give you just a little bit bigger seating area than the old seat. All right, so this is the high seat position. And then by pulling this kickstand handle here, you can retract it, drop it into the lower position. Likewise, this forward section here, you can raise and lower the this forward section of the seat as well. All right, if we remove the seat, we'll see one of the other big changes. All right, so this is what we got under the seat. So one big thing is there's no handles on the outside of the kayak here. But with the seat removed, you got access to nice, really sturdy handles from both sides inside the kayak. And then here's the top side section for all the Hobie through hull for the transducer mount. The biggest selling point for this kayak for me is we have two rudder controls from the factory. So I'm left-handed. I keep my rod in my left hand at all times when I'm fishing, and having to change hands for the older kayaks to steer with my left hand got really, really annoying. So now I've got a handle over there. That was one of the big things I loved about my Pro Angler. All right, going back into the deck well area, got two more molded in rod holders, one on each side, and then we've got another of the like stowage areas on the side, similar to the forward one. The big difference here is instead of having that piece of H-rail, this one's got a piece of bungee cord. What I've discovered back here is with this, the center section of this bungee removed, which is just a T-nut in the gear track. With that removed, you can actually drop a double depth Plano 3700 box in here, and then these little retractors will go over it and they clip to that bungee, so you can clip that piece in as well. Really cool feature on this new hull. Slide that back in there. Right back here, we've got the top side of the rudder section, and coming around back, we got another section of H-rail. Basically, they took this handle. This is a slightly narrowed version of the handle off the back of a Pro Angler. So what they did to help you loading and unloading this is they included this little kickstand cassette which clips into that handle. And the benefit of that is when you set this thing down on the ground, without the kickstand, the rudder is kind of exposed down here. There's a little skid plate to keep you from dragging the rudder, but if you tilt the kayak up on the bow, the low point becomes the tail end of this rudder, and you can really easily tear this thing up. So they included this little cassette here that locks into place and makes loading and unloading this thing on the rooftop really a breeze. You just snap this thing in, throw it up on the roof, and then this piece pops off. You know, flip it up this way or flip it all the way over and hit it, knock it loose. So pretty cool little innovation there that makes loading this thing a whole lot easier. So we looked at all the features of this kayak. Now let's talk about kind of some things that I see might be a problem going down the road. The first one is, if you look really closely right here on either side of the steering handle, you've got some exposed rudder line. I just got a feeling that over time these might get a little chafed or worn, and it might end up having to replace this rudder cable fairly regularly. The other problem is, again, the rudder itself being exposed down there. As long as you're careful and use the cassette, I don't foresee that necessarily being an issue. But if it becomes one, obviously, you're gonna have to change out the rudder. And then the last one that isn't a long-term issue, but it's more a rigging issue. If you want to run anything through the hull into the back section, so let's say you wanted to internally wire a power pole, because hey, guess what? We got a bolt hole set there for a power pole base. But if you want to permanently wire that thing and have a plug grommet right here, the closest place you have access to the inside of the hull is actually in the forward section of the kayak. So there's no way to access all this all the way back here from the factory. Now, conveniently, I'm pretty sure that a Hobie stow and go 8-inch will drop in right there. But I'll have to check that out and see if that's actually going to be something worth pursuing, to get one of the Hobie hatches and cut out that circle, which is kind of perfectly sized for a bucket. But see if I can drop a hatch in there to give me access to the back, if that's something I decide I really wanted. All right, so that was a quick walkthrough of the 2019 Hobie Outback. I haven't seen any reviews from anybody who wasn't sponsored by Hobie, to be perfectly honest with you. So it's kind of my initial walkthrough. Stay tuned for the on-the-water impression and install video for the retractable transducer mount. Until next time, cheers and tight lines.